Poppy too, as the Tahm Kench is taken off the board. The Poppy and Kalista also banned in this game. And then the Elise. These are going very quickly, actually. The teams have clearly done their homework ahead of time to decide what they want to get rid of. So
Elise banned away from Jankos, another champion that they've been playing. I believe did they play it yesterday? Yeah, they had one game of it yesterday.
The GP.
GP goes as the 6th ban, which leaves us with the Lulu.
And that one makes it through. It's immediately picked up. Reflects across the board.
So where does this go is the question. PerkZ, I believe he played, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, he played it week 1. And I was thinking, it was a game I casted with QuickShot, and I was thinking, I don't know, do they have the damage here? They answered that by having Trick on the Graves. Emperor had a great job as well. Likely to be the same kind of setup. Graves is available. Does Jankos pick that up for himself here? Because otherwise you know Trick is going to get it on the second rotation.
Very true. We'll have to see what Jankos does value. Plenty of junglers still available on the board. The Rek'Sai is up. Jankos' favorite, Lee Sin. But this Graves, there's a reason it has been picked so frequently lately. And, you know, we could say maybe it could go to the top lane. We have seen that, but I think it's more likely to fall into Jankos' hands.
Yeah, I think so. Odoamne might pick up the top lane if they want to pick up a Kindred here. First Lucian of the week, actually,
of course,
comes up here. For Forgiven, I like it. It's another strong laning pick. They can establish the dominance. Still has the potential to push towers fairly quickly as well. I'm expecting Trick to maybe look at either a Rek'Sai or the likes of the Kindred in the jungle, which is available.
It's Trick and then 2G.
Oh dear. No.
But wait for that one. He's not going to lock the Udyr, guys.
Too easy. Too easy.
Too simple.
Too easy.
We'll see what they end up answering with. But yeah, a lot of explosive potential out of H2K to start things off, and G2 is taking their time on the next rotation. It went very quickly. And oh my god, it is!
What? Whoa, hang on,
yes,
hang on. Whoa,
we have an Udyr.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. We are in a meta where there's a whole lot of poke and a lot of slows. I guess they got a Lulu. They have a Lulu to speed him up. That's kind of a curveball here.
I like it. You know, by the way, this may not be a jungle pick. Kikis has been very outspoken about how he plays everything.
I really hope that's not.
And we did see, if I recall correctly, we saw him last year. It was in the jungle.
Oh, yeah, it was Flash Bear Slap.
Maybe he'll do it in the top lane.
This has thrown me for a loop because, like, the junglers that we've had a lot of is the Lee Sin. We've had a lot of the Graves, the Rek'Sai.
Yeah.
You know, junglers that offer more than early game and a bit of fast clear. Udyr right now is not in that kind of spot where you have the global presence at all that Rek'Sai has. The pick potential that Elise brings, obviously Elise was banned in this setup. I'm so looking forward to seeing how this opens up.
Oh yeah, this is going to be exciting. G2 clearly was hiding something in their back pocket to take to play against this H2K squad. They do take the Lissandra flexible for Odoamne or Ryu, as G2 cycles through some frankly interesting AD carries. Emperor, we have seen him have a monster 3 games so far. Will it be number 4? We haven't seen some of these AD carries for a while here in Europe.
I'm looking at what H2K do with their last pick. They've got the flex either for top or mid, or jungle. They could Lissandra mid, Graves top, and pick a different jungle pick here. If they pick anything that can kite this Udyr, they'll do well, but one of the big champions that would be able to kite would be that blue build Ezreal, and that is no longer available. So this leaves us with Lulu top lane, Zed in the mid lane, Ezreal AD carry with Udyr in the jungle for Trick.
Oh yes. Not a sentence you probably thought you were going to say today at breakfast, Stress. But what does H2K answer with in their very last pick of the game? They've still got that flexibility. Do they want to go something tankier? They've got the Alistar already, but will that be enough?
Well, at this point, you already know that you have an okay matchup mid lane if you want the Lissandra. Just ult yourself. You'll get a Zhonya's Hourglass anyway. So you know that PerkZ won't be able to all in you. Do you go for a top lane matchup now against the Lulu? Pick something that can carry. We've got the likes of Fiora open. Yeah, that is true. That matchup, as it opens up, is you know, one that Fiora starts to run away with. Isn't so easy in the beginning, or do you pick something with the global presence?
It looks like the latter will be the option as the timer ticks down. The Shen is taken. Should be going to Odoamne, which means Ryu will get his hands on that Lissandra as they continue to shuffle around. There we go. Well, okay, there we go. That makes more sense.
Well, as much sense as this
I'm
this
already completely thrown by this G2
well,
pick, so
I mean,
yeah.
The one thing that really would hold Trick normally back would be getting kited. Lissandra will be able to lock him down and run away pretty effectively.
Well, they've also got the Shen to, even if he gets on top of somebody, it will be hard to finish someone off and he can get the taunt off. So I think Trick is going to have his work cut out for him this game. I'm
really interested to see what Trick's prepped on this. This isn't the kind of pick you play without a game plan in mind. I wonder what kind of cheese we're going to have coming out from G2.
To quote a coach no longer in Europe, it better be some really good Gouda.
It had better be some really good Gouda.
You do it a little bit more correct than me.
I honestly haven't seen Udyr on 6.1 or even since preseason in general.
Yeah.
Just because of how difficult it can be to get a target and stick on them. They have got the whimsy from the Lulu. They've got a lot of, you know, that ability to stick on people with the Braum, with the Ezreal. Can they get it?
Well, we will have to see as the game gets underway. But you at home, we want to hear from you if you think G2 with their Udyr in the jungle can pull out a victory and make it 4-0 in 2 weeks, or will H2K pick up another on the board? You guys know the hashtags. I'm not even going to tell you. But get hyped for our last game of the week here in Europe. G2 eSports and H2K starting off.
I can't believe it, Pyro. It's happened.
I can't believe it's not Kindred.
Oh no!
Completely through the picks and bans.
Oh yes, he's using the great skin as well.
Excellent.
I love this skin.
Oh, this is going to be a great game.
It's the easiest 4-person cosplay known to man. I love it. We in London in Worlds, we had some people there in onesies. I love this.
With some fantastic cosplay.
Well, I mean, if G2 are going to remain undefeated, you may as well do it with style.
Wait a minute.
Against sort of the top teams.
G2 Trick. Are you sure they didn't mysteriously pick up the any streamer?
I mean, I've already gone to that well on that joke.
Yeah.
All right, it's all right.
Too easy. All right. Well, it's going to start out a little bit more normal as we see the deep wards coming in, prompting for the lane swap. One key difference, though, is Kikis has already hung out in the river brush up top side. And if he doesn't move, if he doesn't get spotted, he might have to. H2K back away, and Kikis gets out without being seen. Stealthy Lulu.
So, perhaps for some viewers that weren't watching LCS last year, let's preemptively set up the last Udyr cheese we saw, which was Kikis on the Unicorns of Love, when he started red buff and instantly went to lane. Flashes in with bear stance, hits him, and manages to get a kill.
And thus the infamous Flash Bear Slap was born.
Flash Bear Slap. He's also running Strength of the Ages. So we'll have that increased health. But man, that's, I guess he's not going for that all-in damage. But
see if they use it to set up that CC they need. They do have the Lulu. Be able to make someone a lot bigger than they typically are once these fights get underway. I am curious to see how they utilize what they've got in their box, but
Stealth Cow. Stealth Cow is here. Oh my god, how much is he going to get done?
Right, and that rush. He stopped this and knocked Trick out of his element, or out of his turtle stance.
Oh, you revealed.
Some Kikis instead with Pulverize.
That was a little less, you know, of a crescendo than I thought that could have been. If he went in, just like gets the knockup and the red buff, but good on Kikis to check.
Yeah. It's the smart thing to do.
It is. Also, now that they got the read on red buff, that should basically tell everybody don't overextend. We are in a lane swap, so it's not like there's going to be that situation. Ryu has the claw to get himself away. Lissandra's just one of those laners that very, very safe in this early game. You try ganking her, she claws away, she has the flash.
Overall, it'll be a fairly safe start, too, considering it. We're heading ourselves for a 4v0, or at least a 3v0, as Jankos continues to own the bottom side of the jungle. He's not finished with his clear just yet. That all too familiar, uncontested, safe start push will commence as Kikis goes up to the top side to help that effort out.
So you know what ooh, wow, Reed getting taken low. He's fine. I was jumping way further later in the game where there's death mark available. We're only at level 3.
He could have popped the ignite, but he didn't have enough to keep following him.
Ryu at that point was way out of it. So you know H2K keep running these kind of compositions that I really like. A lot of side lane control. With the double teleports, with the Lissandra for the wave play, the ability to take up a lot of time, and now PerkZ, the option he's going to take is just running out topside. Did have Trick around as well, so gets himself away.
Ryu still sticking around, low on mana, but he's able to avoid the damage. Jankos was there at his back, but he's already back to base. Tower will fall, one more hit will do it, and Kikis absorbs the gold for that. Meanwhile, Odo and Forgiven split it on their end. And you might actually see the two teams duking it out. Trick up at the top side, able to clear through the jungle that he now owns, as the map always splits that way instead of the typical way. Horizontal and vertical.
Oh man,
my dimensions are already off.
That's frustrating to deal with for Ryu. As soon as that shadow comes forward, he gets hit, and the shurikens come out. You can see just how much damage PerkZ is able to output in that kind of situation. And PerkZ not even getting to that level 6, but Ryu is waiting for the later part of this game when he has his Zhonya's, when he has his ultimate available, just to kind of weather that storm. He's only a couple of CS down himself right now. Jungle matchup hasn't really shown us anything because of the lane swap right now. Now you can see H2K have brought their duo lane up to the top side. Same has happened on the bottom side now for G2, so the duo lanes are looking to push in and hold this game's pace at relatively the same speed.
Yeah. Question is, does this help G2 more than it helps H2K? They've already amassed a slight gold lead here. Well, I say slight, it's about 600, 500 rather, but that's pretty significant at 5 minutes into the game. And they will answer on the tower just about at the same moment. They buy themselves even more time for Emperor on this Ezreal to start scaling up in that all-too-popular tier build.
So for G2 right now, they're still in a position where they're waiting. This is very early on in the game. PerkZ isn't level 6, they can't look to skirmish, but that's what G2 are going to look for a little bit later. When H2K are over in the side lane, see if you can pick off one of the stragglers from the main pack. The 3 that'll be sitting in the middle lane. If you land an Iceborne Gauntlet hit from the Ezreal queue, you can maybe follow up with PerkZ. From then, Kikis can either come into the fight, you know, stay up in a side lane himself. So G2 are looking for that kind of skirmish potential. H2K are looking to just slow down any side lane pushes that G2 want to do, and then H2K can take the fight from there. But still, it's going to depend on whether PerkZ can find an angle into fights. But Trick seems to have found himself an angle on the Dragon fairly early on. Isn't really taking too much damage. Ryu's still only level 5.
PerkZ at 6 does take 2 tower shots, so he's not going to be able to easily go any farther as if he wanted to go onto the second tier turret in the first place. Ryu just hit 6, has his Frozen Tomb available. Hybrid and Trick are doubling up, should be able to take out this Dragon. No problem.
This is taking Trick far longer than he thought it would have, just because of his mana. He's like, I can't dance. I want to dance with this Dragon. Unfortunately, he's no George R.R. Martin. I messed it up. It was so close.
I will give you a golf clap for the effort.
So close.
But what I am really bummed about, though, in this is that we didn't get to see Forgiven face off against Emperor yet, and it won't likely happen until we get to these crazy fights. And Lucian being this lane bullier and fast pusher, obviously a very different type of AD carry than Emperor's Ezreal, so a different match of the styles. I was really looking forward to a duel.
Yeah, well, I don't think we were ever going to get that, to be honest. I don't think Jankos... The thing is, like, for Trick, he has to pick really difficult fights against Jankos. He either finds Jankos in the middle of a lane and can stick on him, or Trick just never fights him because he doesn't want to fight next to a wall and get blown up. It's that simple, because he just pops the smoke screen for Jankos and runs away. And that's all Jankos has to do to avoid that.
Well, we at least get to see normal lanes after all the towers are said and done. So with 2-2, of course, traded back across the way. Jankos is heading down towards the bottom side, but he is pinged out. And in hot pursuit is Trick, who is also spotted by the brush ward. Turns his Phoenix stance right around. PerkZ might actually look to follow him. And Ryu is also right behind there, but Odo took some free farm up in the top and not free any longer as he finds Kikis and taunts right onto him, but he's at a level disadvantage for the time being.
It's fine though, because Odo popped his Feint, the shield, early on, so soaks so much of the damage from Kikis. Problem is now, Kikis turns that back around when they're standing just in this lane against each other. So Odo gets a good trade, now is ending up getting out-traded just as he hits the level cap. Now Kikis can stick on top of him. So Odo not able to stay at the high health he was at the beginning of that trade.
Still shouldn't be in too much danger of getting zeroed out by this Lulu. Kikis just trying to keep the pressure up top side and make sure that Odo has to respond. Ryu, meanwhile, takes a few Shadow Shurikens courtesy of PerkZ. Noms his biscuit to keep himself healthy, and Ryu shouldn't have too much trouble staying safe, as we said before, but there have been a couple of close calls that he's immediately said nope and bailed out of.
Yeah, he's basically...
he does know how to avoid Zeds most of the time.
So, PerkZ crosses over a pink ward. Does he check that bush on the way back? No. Okay, so for anybody in solo queue, that bush hardly ever gets checked. Just like that. Even happens at LCS. That's a great pingwood spot. Starts getting checked more often now.
Oh, true shot too.
Yep,
I
so
thought he was very safe there, but he took a big chunk of damage from it.
I think, however, Kikis is about to clear through. So, yeah, Kikis even goes back for it.
There we go.
So, if ever you're passing through that bush, just clip in. I know sometimes it doesn't path you through the bush.
There are a lot of pink wards actually in this area. 2 more in river brushes for H2K. And Kikis will be going on a full tour. Summoner's Rift to take care of these right now. Meanwhile, unopposed farm for Emperor in the bot side.
Right, but it's H2K that are going to try and punish that because they've moved Forgiven to the middle lane. If they bring Ryu and Jankos here and stack 4 people, it forces a response. True Shot Barrage still not available for a while now for Emperor. About 10 to 15 seconds on that. They could have looked to push mid lane. Problem is, PerkZ was still too healthy with the blue buff. Extra cooldown reduction just clears out that minion wave time and time again. So it's something H2K were looking for, but couldn't quite get in position for in the right time. Forgiven goes back bottom.
Trick up to keep these wards clean as well, for the most part actually. The Raptor buff expires on him. PerkZ keeping the wave defended. It really has been, it's not the slowest of starts we've seen for sure, but G2 are very comfortable with this pace, and I feel H2K are too, so they're really waiting until they hit their power spikes before they want to go all in and make some mayhem.
Well, for G2, at least for their AD carry, they were getting a good amount of this free farm. Wasn't getting contested at all. Problem is, Kikis is starting to fall behind. This is one of the questions we had is, what can Kikis do when he's not on the Tahm Kench? Somebody who can just sit there. This lane matchup now, Odo is coming out fairly far ahead, 56 CS. In goes Vander though.
They find Hybrid, he is unbreakable, but they put him in a tomb and take him out. First blood secured by Ryu. 10.5 minutes into this game, and they look to start pushing on the mid. True Shot comes in. Meanwhile, Odo up in the top, duking it out with Kikis once more.
Yeah, I think Odo is, even though he's getting bullied out, he knows that his team just getting that advantage in the middle lane is enough to be happy and content. Just sit back a little bit more here for H2K in that top lane. You know that it's going to be fine. But man, Ryu getting that kill, really nice start here. Gets him closer to the Zhonya's Hourglass. You can see he's got Seeker's Arm Guard already. He's just got to do one thing for the next 10 minutes, and that is not die to PerkZ. That's all he's got to do.
So far, so good. Keeps himself nice and healthy, but I am impressed by G2's ability to answer to H2K's map. This is a team that we consistently praise for being one of, if not the smartest team in Europe. The rotations are superior, but G2 have not missed a beat this game. And despite the fact that they gave up 1 kill there, they still have kept incredibly well and even against this H2K squad, even though it's only 11.5 minutes into the game. So far, looking good for them.
But I feel like what G2 are doing here is fairly similar to almost what Fnatic were trying to do yesterday, what Fnatic did yesterday, sorry, where they held on to the sideways. I did hit,
Long-range farming.
Only 2.
Yeah, well, the Herald's gotten in the way, man.
It's a little bit, but Ryu just turns up and goes, anything you can do, I can do better. Just clears the wave out. It's just like, it's fine, don't worry. So, controlling the side waves against H2K is something that G2 are trying to do. And they're doing it fairly well, but I want to see how H2K react next, because this is their first game without Corki, which was one of those picks that allows them to just root mid very effectively. This time they got the Lucian. They're not quite so good at doing it. And G2, they're going to take their second dragon of the game. Excuse me.
Yeah, but that does mean H2K knowing that there is no members of G2 on the top side can start taking the drift field. Perhaps they can now turn the tables and push in another tower and grab a little bit more gold back for themselves. Still in the lead by about 1,000 at the moment. But G2 are already in position to defend.
Yeah, they are. Holds the top lane. Right now, Ryu knows without the Zhonyas, he is going to have to expend his ultimate on himself or blow PerkZ up faster, and that's exactly what H2K seem to be looking to do. Does PerkZ maybe throw something out over the wall?
One of those
I think they just spotted both. Yeah, if not now, Ryu
yep.
shows himself in the top lane.
A lot of movements, a lot of reactions. There comes the culling from Forgiven. Kikis is half his health bar already gone. Forgiven will take a couple of shots on the tower, but the wave's immediately cleared away, and Hybrid just faced Trick around the other side, and they know with that ward there, that is exactly where he was. So H2K can't get too much more off of that ultimate expenditure.
This is going to be a game of two teams not fighting for the title.
I think you may be right.
Because G2 are just going to want to poke down for a while and then hope that H2K don't engage on them with the Alistar, which is going to be the problem and the one thing we already saw G2 getting caught out with. H2K do have a lot of ability to close distance with the Alistar, with the Lissandra as well. So if they can get a good flanking angle, control vision well enough to get in from the side, H2K should be able to find engages, but they've got to somehow lock down an Ezreal and a Zed, two very slippery champions.
Yep, and speaking of slippery, Ryu does take a lot of damage, but he turns Doom around onto Emperor, and Jankos blows him up.
So Emperor really disrespected Ryu right there. Walking forward like that, basically says ult me, and Ryu goes, okay. Ults him. They thought that Hybrid had enough with the shield there to block the damage. Didn't read that Jankos was there, and suddenly Emperor, with his flash, with his heal, stands on the end of the line and somehow wasn't expecting collateral damage. Really weird from Emperor in that situation to do that kind of play.
That frees up just a little bit more damage on this turret, but Trick, Hybrid, and PerkZ were already there and hungry to take a bite out of this H2K squad. So a little more damage on the turret. True Shot comes in as a fired up Emperor wants to get right back into the action. So far, very low kills on the game. 15 minutes in, H2K leading the line with 2, leading the gold with just about 1,000. But they start to try and push around, and you talked about vision control and how H2K does this so well, especially in the mid lane right now. Vander on that Alistar, he has definitely been the highest, or one of the highest places of ping boards of everybody in Europe.
1,050 gold in Ryu's pocket means that this game just became a lot more difficult for G2, because that's Lusania's hourglass. Now Lissandra can clear the side waves and reliably weather the damage from PerkZ. And now in team fights, you've got that roughly 7.5 seconds that Ryu is going to soak up from everybody around, where you just can't deal with the Lissandra. You throw so much and she just stands there in her ult, in the Zhonya's. So just became a little bit more problematic. Not to say that G2 can't still do it, just makes it that bit more tricky. Especially on Udyr.
And speaking of Trick, he has had a very hard time finding anyone that he can run right up to and smack down, because how slippery this H2K team is. The really biggest benefit that he's provided are these quicker dragons so far, and 2 in their pocket. But unless you want to try to play to that 5 dragon condition that was not popular so far this year, not very viable so far this year, I am really curious to see what he's got planned on this champion.
So right now he's actually offered not a lot different to any other jungler would offer. If you had a Rek'Sai, it'd probably be in a fairly similar position, but with better side wave maintenance. So the one thing that Udyr will do as this game goes further and further, he's building towards tank, which tells me he's going to run around team fights just slapping people. Slapping for that stun, trying to get as many people locked down for the poke from Emperor, the damage from PerkZ that can follow up. So that's what he's aiming for, but my real question is that enough to win G2 this game, rather than picking a kind of a more common jungle pick, like the Rek'Sai, which gives you clear strengths?
I think not, because you look at the side of H2K, and they have got so many ways to really protect some of their champions. They've got Vander's disengage. They've got him, kind of making himself the primary target. Yes, Forgiven can get jumped on. Yes, Jankos can get jumped on. Jankos, of course, building a little bit more stats than you might expect an AD carry typically to have. That Graves build very much more popular. But you've also got Odoamne, the Stand United shield that can come in. You've got Ryu's lockdown that can come in. There are so many ways that H2K can stop you from taking out a target, and now they will secure this turret after a very long-fought battle of attrition in the mid lane.
Wave clear runs out, Zed's bottom lane, so that's a tower going down for H2K. It is only 18 minutes in the game, they finally get that mid tower. Well, this game still is somewhat in H2K's favor. Odo's recalling on a ward. This will give them the information. I think actually it has just got stopped by Emperor as well throughout a Q. So again, just slowing down H2K, but I don't know if slowing them is in this matchup. I feel like H2K, with the double teleport, with the Shen ultimate as well, are just going to be able to control every part of the map that bit better than G2 can push.
Quite possibly. But for the time being, G2 are still keeping fairly well in track.
Yeah.
There's a lot of vision control here that H2K do have in both sides of the river, but you can see the pings onto G2. They are actually prioritizing this dragon.
And G2 for them, they're powering up right now. They're getting the Ezreal to that 2-3 item point. Now comes the true shot barrage. There's like 1 minion if it dies quickly. Oh, that's painful.
You can try again in about 60 seconds.
Yeah.
That's the man.
So they're still powering up the Ezreal though. He's still not at, well now he's got the Iceborne Gauntlet. This is roughly his kind of time to start coming out onto the map and fighting. Trick's pretty tanky when you look at him. Has the chain vest. I wonder whether that's going dead man's plate right now. Run around, hit people hard in that team fight.
It's like one of my favorite items, by the way, especially for things like that.
Well, it's always weird when you see a jungler come out of the jungle and you're like, wait, he is moving way too fast since I saw him. Oh, wait, he's got dead man's plate.
Well, you know, combine it with the fact that we see the boost of swiftness very, very commonly now. And there you go.
Budget boots.
Budget they are cheap,
boots.
but they are good.
They're cheap and good, yeah, exactly. Because when there's a whole load of slows coming about, that's when you want boots of swiftness. In goes Ryu with the Stand United on.
The good old dragon dance is gonna be a fight. The first one, Emperor, is gonna get taken down by Odoamne. The fight is on for the rest of these members. Very low on H2K's side. Ryu will try to claw, but he has to go through Zhonya's first, and he can't get out. Meanwhile, Trick flashing, slapping. Phoenix Form finishes the job though, and he's all over Jankos.
He is so
double
tanky.
kill. Absolutely massive here, but he's out by himself until Kikis and Hybrid arrive, and they turn back around onto them. H2K sense an easier opportunity, but they can't pick any more kills. All said and done, it's a 2 for 2.
2 for 2, nobody gets the dragon Trick. Nobody's really put damage down onto him yet, so we didn't have a read on how tanky he is. He just runs around that fight, slapping people, is able to take down 2. Ryu with a good engage with the Stand United on. Let's go right back to the beginning. Ryu lost a lot of health though. Does he ult Emperor in this situation? Yes, he does. Rather than ulting himself here and getting the damage on multiple people as well as holding himself, now Trick comes into the fight, is trying to lock down the rest of H2K. As you said, Ryu passed to Sonya's, which holds him there. Even without Emperor, G2 still have a fair amount of damage in this, but H2K kind of have to come back and respect Trick right now, force him to run away.
I love how Hybrid and Kikis come back in here, and PerkZ is just like, nope. Okay, I'll throw a few shurikens.
I think they thought the flash was down from Odo, if I'm honest. Otherwise, on that low health, I don't think you run back in that situation.
Well, we got round 2 here. Clearly, G2 really want this Dragon 3 for them, but H2K might take it back. They do, and Trick gets knocked right out of the pit. PerkZ gets tombed up, and he is shot down by Ryu.
That's great from Vander, knowing that he doesn't need to combo there. Just hit PerkZ over. Even if he had the combo available, not PerkZ, hit Trick over. That's exactly what you want to do. Udyr has no ability to get back over that wall. His flash was down. Even though he has the extra movement speed, he has to run all the way around the pit.
Yep, very, very slow, and we already saw he had spent his flash to be able to secure the kill onto Ryu last time, so a little bit of revenge as they pick PerkZ back up. H2K securing a little bit more of a lead as Emperor takes that blue buff and goes right back to the mid. We finally get to see the blue build Ezreal firing about as fast as he can, but H2K are starting to speed up themselves with the 1-3-1.
They absolutely are. With 2 teleports available, Kikis does not have his.
3 technically.
And yeah, with Stand United. Yeah, exactly. PerkZ running Ignite, as you would on Zed, so he has to kind of hoof it from bottom lane if the fight does start, but Forgiven doesn't look to be fighting anytime soon. Requires Vander there with Jankos to be able to engage. Also, they just have to be careful with Trick because he's getting really, really tanky right now. Looks like he's opting for Randuin's after that Deadman's Plate. So this is going to be a very tanky Udyr to try and take down.
I think we'll be in for some pretty crazy bear chases this game as Ryu waits patiently in the brush for Kikis to go way too far forward. They ping it out. He wants some help from Jankos, so he'll be slow in coming as he comes to the lane, but Ryu looks to get ready to lock him up. 2-level difference. Just patient enough. Too patient.
In he goes.
Oh, and immediate wild growth, but there's the frozen tomb. Jankos is coming close, should be able to finish this job. Kikis knows his time is almost up, and who do they give it to? It's Ryu. 3-1-2 on the game.
Yeah, however, mid lane is what you got to take a look at, because G2 are utilizing the time that Kikis took to tie up top lane to try and push mid lane here. They have, however, got to deal with Odoamne down in the bottom lane as well. He has a cannon minion down there with him. So G2 on the retreat. Does Emperor have his ult? Yes, he does. Is it going to come out?
Yes, it does. Wow, good wave.
Now it clears the wave effectively.
So half a tower and a kill for 1 tower. Worth?
Well, I mean, for G2, it's worth they unlock a little bit more of the map, unless Odo takes this tower as well. Those ranged minions aren't in range of the tower yet, so Odo has to push the melee minions in. The second one's still, yeah, that's only one of them. Odo's just gonna be like,
fine.
Screw it, I'm gonna get.
Oh,
he didn't even get it.
He got scared by Kikis.
One auto. Oh,
who gets scared by a Lulu?
I did. That squid hat, man, are you telling me if you were like swimming in the sea, you saw that thing bobbing around, you wouldn't be like, oh my god, I gotta get out of here?
No, but that's because I know Splatoon is a thing.
True. Well, Kikis is a kid now, he's a squid now in this game.
And he's apparently enough to scare a ninja.
Tricks are bad now, could end up becoming a phoenix or a tiger or a turtle. So we'll have to keep a track of that menagerie going on in the jungle at this point. But Emperor looking to add some more slows to his arsenal here. Looking for that red buff as well.
Does manage to secure that up quite easily. Ryu in the top side pushing. Pings are flying. G2 don't want to let Ryu have free push on this, but they are a little slow to react, so he's already autoing away. And he should be able to make his easy escape. Calling on Jankos for a little bit of help as well, and only PerkZ is here to respond. We'll clear the wave out quite quickly, though.
Yeah, only like 4 minions in that wave, so PerkZ is like, well, you can go on me if you want. I'm not too bothered about this, but H2K are back to playing a little bit more of a slow game. We were seeing them end games at this point in week 1. Seems like teams have really figured out now going into week 2 the importance of holding the side waves at least, which I'm glad to see.
Yeah, they're definitely not going to be able to get away with it quite as easily, but still, H2K, as PerkZ fires the parting shot onto Ryu.
That got normalized as well. Used to be like around a quarter of a second. Now it's actually only like the last 0.1 second of a recoil.
Yeah, it actually is rarer than you would think when you see it happen.
Yep. But then we see it like every view. Run and hit the tower, Odo.
Oh no, go!
Kikis,
go! Just do it. There we go. 400 gold.
Got it.
How about that?
Kikis is like, I'm just gonna punish you.
Face
for doing
your
that.
fears. He even got the ultimate out of Kikis too.
Yeah, he did. Kikis, it'll come back fairly quickly.
True.
He's got the Boots of Lucidity, so it's not too bad for Kikis. Unless H2K force from that.
They're respecting the trick.
Trick runs so fast.
Don't poke the bear, guys. Or the phoenix. The turtle's okay. He just won't take damage.
I've got nothing. I've got nothing. I'm sorry,
Fire. We've got so many
like,
animal jokes that we've run through so far. I think you're already good. Another dragon's about a minute away, and I can't believe I'm saying this in Season 6, but that looks like G2's next move.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. We've seen such little priority on reaching, multiple dragons when you get towards that 5. G2 are only on 2 right now, so it is going to take them a long time, and I don't think that should be what they're aiming for in any sense of the imagination. What they need to do is somehow try and poke down H2K, but what H2K are doing is every time they're pushing in the side waves, they're just creating enough trouble in the mid lane as well to drag the G2 focus away.
He didn't hit the ping.
He didn't hit the ping. The rest of his team was kind of around 20 seconds to go, but...
Yeah, but see, it's so telegraphed. H2K know this is happening. They are actually moving their way up towards the top side.
This.
They can try to trade for this as a trade Baron for this one and draw attention of G2.
Yeah, well, they dropped 2 pinks here as well. They know Odo's down in the bottom lane. Trick
goes in,
just hits him once, runs away. He's like, ha! Warning shot. Stolen.
It's about
nicely done,
message.
Emperor.
Several shots being fired from the backside. Emperor keeps throwing those Qs.
H2K have positioned around to get themselves in front of the turret. Forgiven chooses the damage on Kikis instead of clearing the wave. He knows he can clear that himself. And Odo is still pushing down in the bottom lane.
They can keep the side push up. Odo's got both his teleports still available to him. There is no reaction. G2 can try to force a fight, but immediately whoever they start chunking, you're going to get Stand United. And in comes Trick, but he's knocked right on up, and all of a sudden, PerkZ is in, PerkZ is out. goes right in onto Forgiven, but immediately there's the Shen, the knock-up from Trick, and there now Ryu and Vander falling oh so low. Trick in the middle, but shut down courtesy of Jankos. Vander might follow, but he's a big cow, and he keeps himself alive. Trick is still the only one dead in this so far. As I say it, Kikis falls. H2K do what they do best and manage to outplay G2 Esports.
So much went on Forgiven there, and he survived through the damage, even keeping his heal available. Looked like an exhaust was used on PerkZ, I believe. Same time, Hybrid exhausted Forgiven, so there was a whole lot of damage going on that wasn't really doing too much. H2K can hold through that fight and turn it back around as Odoamne used that Stand United to get into the fight. Both teleports were saved as well from H2K, so even though they won that fight, now they get the Baron, and their 1-3-1 is going to be even stronger than it was before.
Yep, a little bit slow to start this one off, but Ryu using that teleport to get there a little bit quicker. The remaining members of G2 trying to act quickly to get in. You can hear the Ghost Blade popping for PerkZ, but they can't quite get enough done. True Shot goes in a little too early, and now PerkZ will take some parting shots. Hybrid trying to stop it, but man, those bullets are starting to hurt.
And Kikis has to go bot now to clear that out. Let's take another look at the beginning of this fight, because Trick manages to find his way into the fight a little bit later, and I believe gets Lulu ulted. Here's the exhaust. PerkZ even uses a QSS himself to get himself free in this fight. Trick just takes too much damage from the 4 members of H2K, and Vander does such a good job zoning out the rest of the damage coming from G2 that they have to hightail it. Emperor on full health can't do too much more in this fight, has to back himself away in 2.
Yeah, once he's melted through the front line, backline's got to go. So, looks like in all of that, H2K also secured a Dragon, just picking one up for themselves and denying a further one from G2, so they've now evened that score 2-2. The score currently stands 8-2 in kills, 5,000 gold now separating these teams, and H2K just inching forward ever so slowly, but it's a logarithmic curve, or an exponential curve rather. My math is still pretty bad as always.
Probably better than mine. Mine is terrible. I choose never to do it on cast.
I have yet to learn that lesson.
The one thing that's not too bad to do mathematics-wise is figure out how much time champions are soaking up, and I can tell you that Vander and Ryu in these team fights are taking a lot of time. That is the mathematical term, a lot. One word, ALOT. I know that's not grammatically correct, but I'm hoping a lot memes are just going through the chat now. I'm channeling my inner pulse. You know, that's the key thing about this Alistar, about this Lissandra, is when you're soaking up the enemy damage's time in these fights, you can output so much yourself. Man, PerkZ,
he's still going down.
Shoes.
Oh, indeed you are. Way to pick that one up. Even though they QSS'd out of the frozen tomb, PerkZ will be down. Base is wide open, inhibitor falls, and you can see the damage that H2K has is getting real. No one saw that, Ryu.
No, so he was aiming for the base gate. Just get stuck.
I don't need to escape. Meanwhile, Kikis has got a deal on the top side. H2K doing a fantastic 4-1 split here. And they still got those double teleports available on Odoamne. Ryu's will soon be, well, actually it's still going to be about a minute or two before it comes back up.
Yeah, it'll time out with the Baron. Yeah, it's going to time out roughly the same time as the Baron. If not, Baron times out a little bit before. But Forgiven and H2K have got so much from this already. They've cracked open the bottom inhibitor. Now they're looking for mid lane. And here's where the wave clear starts to run out, especially with PerkZ not available. Doesn't have that shurikens to clear through anything either. Trick's going to go in.
Tries to come on in, but he's going to get hopped as he goes very, very close to death, actually staying alive courtesy of the Lulu ult, but they've got to give up the next inhibitor turret. H2K marching on forward, Forgiven with another good calling. Chunks Kikis to half his health. Another inhibitor falls. The next one on the menu will be the top side. H2K, 10K gold in the lead, looking to answer back with a win here from that heartbreaking loss yesterday against Fnatic.
Well, my question of what do H2K do if they don't have Corki after 3 games of having him is answered with an old favorite from Forgiven. Do the same thing, but with Lucian. Control the waves, push yourself into the base, and ultimately just get control of the map and force G2 to react. Can't do too much when they try and force a fight. Trick runs in, gets blown up the last 3 fights.
And I have been so impressed with Ryu. This guy you see going up on the top side. With how aggressive he has been this season so far, he's played a lot of assassins. You can call Lissandra also an assassin, and he's been able to amass not just a good score because he's getting in there and soaking up and clearing these kills and buying time like you're saying, but because he knows how to target these squishy champions and just lock them down, or at the very least make sure they're taken out of these fights. he really has been unlocked this season, I feel, and it shows with probably talking about how he's sort of the lesser observed but always constant carry of H2K.
And constant talking now as well. One thing we've learned about H2K is Ryu is calling a lot of the shots with Odoamne in this setup. So at least when I've heard them talking, it's always been Ryu and Odoamne. I'm looking forward to seeing how they adapt with that, but if Ryu's on a champion like Lissandra that finds those openings and can just say, follow me, like he could be doing here, forces Emperor back.
They don't need to go in though. They've got easy poke to take this one down. And now another Culling comes out. Hybrid and Kikis take a bit. True shot. Ryu might want to back away, but he goes right back.
He goes in.
Lasagnas. He gets Emperor locked up, and he's trying to finish the job. He might just do it. No, taken out. But Odoamne picks Hybrid. Meanwhile, Emperor gets a shutdown, but he falls himself. Forgiven. They forgot all about him, and he's gonna finish the job. Trick now running away. Udyr. He's not gonna save the game for G2. And H2K say, forget it. We can just take the base and end the game here.
Ryu with the Kuribo play, just going straight in, putting himself there as the scapegoat. Locks down 3 people. It's enough for H2K to put themselves in the spot to win the game.
Forgiven still wants his KDA to get padded, but it's all over. 34.5 minutes. H2K secure another win.
Slow and steady wins the race, but ultimately in the tortoise and the hare, Trick left himself in turtle stance for just too long in this game. G2 ended up falling behind, and H2K continue their good streak.
Absolutely, and you know, despite the very close loss yesterday, that has just got to be feeling so good. They executed incredibly well in a macro play. I do got to give G2 credit though, and you can see some smiles on their faces. This is their first loss. And man, did they really show up against what many consider to be one of the best teams in Europe.
I think for G2, you look at this setup for them, it was very difficult for them to do anything because they are kind of playing a reactionary style. Even with the Zed, who you'd imagine PerkZ would be looking for the openings, looking for the kills, he can never find them without H2K making a mistake. And if that mistake never comes, or very infrequently comes and you can't capitalize on it, it's a difficult composition to run.
Yeah.
And that's the problem G2 suffered from, was H2K didn't give them many opportunities to capitalize, and the only person they really could have blown up with the Zed would have been the Lucian, and Forgiven 4-0-4.
And you could see every time they tried to jump on him, instantly the stand united, instantly an exhaust, or Ryu would lock down the target. You can see Probably very happy has to be with that result. For H2K moving forward, you know, they can be very, very happy with their week 1 and week 2. And for G2, I think you really have to say the same. They did try a very, very awkward strategy, but they kept to it, and you know, credit for experimenting early on in the split.
Yeah, credit to them for sure.